Everybody could have a phone. We were not aware that there was an infinite number of frequencies. Today, there's what, a zillion phones. Because there's an infinite number of frequencies. This phone is on its own frequency. Yours is on its own frequency. If I have your number in here and I hit send, you and I connect, we're on the same frequency. No matter where you are, we can see each other, we can communicate. Because we get on the same frequency. Well, the good that we desire is already here. It's on a frequency. The way to build this is always being here. We weren't aware of it. But somebody took their imagination and went off into no place. What they were really doing is going on to a higher frequency. And if you'll stay on that frequency, you'll attract everything that you require. That's why Dr. Werner von Braun, desire is already here. It's on a frequency. The way to build this has always been here. We weren't aware of it. But somebody took their imagination and went off into. He's already here. It's on a frequency. The way to build this has always been here. We weren't aware of it. that somebody took their imagination and went off into no place. What they were really doing is going on to a higher frequency. And if you'll stay on that frequency, you'll attract everything that you require. That's why Dr. Werner von Braun, when President Kennedy asked him what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a man to the moon and then bring him back safely to Earth, von Braun said the will to do it.
First a platform for awakening, to new truths. First a platform for awakening, to new truths, to new ways of being, over 8,000 original episodes. Films and documentaries, so you can find your own answers to some of life's biggest questions, only on Gaia.
Since roughly 30 years, we are confronted with the phenomenon which we call crop circles. In the beginning, they were simple, primitive circles. And now it is normal in our society, we look for a reasonable explanation. So we found all kinds of explanations. What could it be? And I read in the scientific literature incredible stupidities how to explain these crop circles. But the pictures of the so-called circles are not circles anymore. They become bigger and bigger and much more complicated. Now we always look for the next close. Reasonable answer. And one of these reasonable answers, they become bigger and become bigger. On the so-called circles, are not explain these crop circles. But the pictures on the so-called circles are not circles anymore. They become bigger and bigger and much more complicated. Now we always look for the next. Plausible, reasonable answer. And one of these reasonable answers were, it must be hoaxes. So, and of course, we found hoaxes. They admitted they showed even how they make these circles and things. But the hoaxes are nothing compared to the real gigantic pictures, which in the meantime appear of a sudden. And in some cases you can prove it. They appear within a few minutes. They are there. So there's no way out. No more hoaxes. The primitive circle, yes, are hoaxes, but not the.
I don't know how it's an echo. Let me see if this fixes it. Because I don't know why. I think that might fix it as far as the echo. I think that's what the problem is. I had this thing plugged into the wrong thing.
The gigantic pictures. So somebody is obviously trying to give us an information. I suggested we are visited again in our days by extraterrestrials. They are looking to us. Now, it would be easy with their technology to just show up on a gigantic football stadium. The cameras are there already, but because they know us, we are the offspring of them. They know how our reaction would be. We would be completely shocked. Our religions worldwide would crash down. It would be a catastrophe, and they don't want to shock us. They know our reaction, that they do it in another way. Slowly, slowly, they make gigantic pictures in the ground, knowing that humans use and search for plausible answers. So we have 20 plausible answers, and then we realize the next plausible answers makes no sense anymore, because these things appear overnight, these things appear within a few minutes. So we have to come up with the question, what is it? Is someone up there who tries to give us an information? Are we too stupid to understand the information? Because we always think, well, it must be wrong, it must be hoaxes. Some of them are hoaxes, but the big, complicated designs are not hoaxes anymore. They want that we realize there is something out of humanity, out of this planet. After we have tried to explain everything.
Now, see, this is like I was saying right here. This is one that has lines coming from it that I was speaking of. That's what I just said. That I'm speculating. I'm trying to figure out and using my mind to find out which ones is separating, which ones is the real, which ones is the fake between the lines. Because this actually has the lines coming from it. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. At the end of the day, this don't look like no man-made thing. I'm being honest. This look like some alien shit straight up. I'm being real. And to be real, I'm gonna be real with you. When he says that they appear within minutes, I'm using my mind. Electromagnetism, lightning, dude. Something from the sky can create something like this super quick. Because when you think of lightning and fractals, and this is fractal patterns, that's exactly what this is. Think about the Mandelbrot set, because that's exactly what this is right here, is a Mandelbrot. When you really think about that, if you look at the Mandelbrot set, it darn near looks exactly like this. So it's something to deal with lightning, I'm thinking. If I could myself, if I could be a journalist and was rich and where I need to be right now, which I'm trying to head to, because once I'm rich, I can do all of the studying and everything that I need to do and apply everything, that I need to apply. You know, and I would literally study stuff like this. I would pay attention and travel, to where I need to and see what's the link between storms and crop circles and when they appear. Because I think that there would be a link between, you can't really have lightning that I know of without a storm, without some type of storm cloud. So that's one thing that I definitely would do right there. But this definitely, so if that's the case, what I'm gonna conclude on with this point and go ahead and let it play is, being that these lines is right here, and that this could be a necessarily, I mean, and them almost even look like, yeah, them is words, man. Them is words. That's a S, O-R-T. It looked like it could be something right there in between it. I can't even tell. Let me turn this upside down, because that's a word, man. Gonda sort. That's what it kind of look like. It's Gonda. I don't know what that thing says, but that's a word. And if you could identify the language, either way it goes, it's made with English characters. So it's just a lot of stuff to really question here, man. This even looks like lightning, and and this is really questionable, man. I wish that even in our community, see, this is stuff that Black people really don't. And it's crazy. One thing I found crazy about it, you don't hear Black people talk about crop circles like that. You don't, period. And the reason why it's crazy to me is because guess where crop circles really originate at and really is found at? In England, more than anywhere. Most crop circles, and I always question that, why do they happen in England? It's really, and that's mainly a predominantly known, white type of British, type of thing, that area. England, Europe. So I mean, man, I don't know, man. The shit's it's something else, dude. Golly, that's crazy. You know, the fact that they occur in, but black people do not even talk about them. But I feel like this is when you talk about free energy, blueprints, pyramids, all of this stuff, it matters. Um, and why do they only occur in England? We got so much flat land over here in the United States as is. You know, Florida, you know, shoot, Georgia got a lot of flat land. Uh, what you call? I know, especially Kansas City and stuff like that. They got a bunch of flat land, man. They one of the flattest. They got movies made over that, you know. So I mean, why do they happen in England only, man? You know, it's something being communicated with that, I feel. And it ain't only in England, because later on in this video, they speak on them happening in Australia too. But Australia is also a predominantly white type of place, you know. Being honest, I'm not saying that that's where white people come from or that, you know, that's their land. Because actually, I've heard stories of black people originating from Austria or being the original people of Austria. You know, it's all type of stuff you hear, but I'm just talking about what I statistically see now. You know, why is, you know, it's something linking with that, and that's weird to me.
Everything in a natural way. We have to come to a conclusion. There is no more natural answer. There is something behind our knowledge. That's why they do it.
Suddenlink's best offer ever just got even better. Get 200 meg internet and live TV with built-in streaming apps. Now
UFO sightings are in the meantime worldwide. We have 10,000s of people who saw UFOs and people who are serious, not only hoaxes again. And in antiquity, we had the same thing.
I really wish that y'all understood how serious I am about the stuff that I be telling y'all, because I don't know what's going on, man, but I'm just being real. It's like some type of move, some stuff that I would see in a movie, literally, that's going on in my life. As far as how I'm feeling, if you was in the driver's seat of where I'm at. But just to be real, think about how the UFO, all of this UFO talk you've been hearing about with the news, you know, about the government, Space Force, all of this stuff that's coming in. And think about how even that's why I love the fact of everybody coming around and having their own inserts and stuff, wisdom to add. Because Sanchez has said a lot and has talked about in the past about aliens, you know, and the Christ and stuff like that. How, you know, Jesus is an alien and stuff like that. And then when we talk about Jesus as a, not even as a real person like that, but just as the fact of a Christ consciousness type, you know, a consciousness type of aspect. So when you think about that, the Christ consciousness being broke and brought to people, that's what I'm showing people. 4.5 is the crossing, it's the cross section. Literally, I'm not just reaching by that, but this is a state of consciousness, literally a state of awareness. Awareness is a state, is literally when you realize something, you know, realization, your reality, you know. So when you realize something, I'm showing something to the world that nobody's ever realized, and I'm really showing people. And by the time this thing is done, and really, man, I'm telling y'all, the stuff that this stuff is pointed to, ain't no telling where it's pointed to. And once it's found out, next thing I remember, where you would see articles on the in the newspaper would pop up, and when they had newspapers, it would say, uh, 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 it would say something along the lines of, you know, absurd type of titles, like just crazy titles, like. I'm trying not to say something crazy. Negro, like back in them time, like Negro discovers, Negro makes huge discovery with the numbers 4 and 5, that points out, you know, ancient, somewhere that Jesus was buried. You know, some crazy shit. I'm just saying something crazy right now. I ain't saying Jesus is a real bird, but you know what I'm saying? I thought about that one time. I was like, what if it was like this shit? pointed out to where Jesus or something crazy was buried. Because see, he's going to talk about later within this video about the fact that they are they want to actually dig underneath where the lines is at, but they can't. They're not allowed to. You know, and that's what's messed up. It ain't messed up because I mean, in order to, it is messed up and it ain't messed up. It's messed up because you can't find out. And it is messed up because if you dug them up, you got to destroy the lines. You know. But anyway, I'm gonna let this play.
Thing we can prove that in antiquity our forefathers made gigantic signs in the ground, like today's crop circle. Just it was done by our forefathers some thousands of years ago. And all these designs are laid out in a way that they are so big, you can see them only from the air. I mean, NAZCA in Peru is one of the examples, but it's not only NAZCA. In the meantime, because of our flying aircraft, because of our helicopters, we found gigantic designs dating from prehistory time in Saudi Arabia, in Australia, in today's Jordania, then even here in the United States, in California, a place called Blight. You see figures in the ground, you can see them only from the air. In Mexico, in the Sonora Desert, there are hundreds of designs which you can see only from the air. And the main mystery is definitely NAZCA in Peru.
Now, see what did he say? He just told y'all of all of the different places around the world. I ain't gonna be long here either. But I just want to say, man, he said the main mystery is that of NAZCA Peru. That's so freaking important, man. Now, what he's showing y'all right now, I want y'all to think about the pyramids being built. Yeah, you know, that's one thing. Think about how long it takes to draw these lines. Think about the fact that you are in the desert and that it's hot out there. Supposedly ain't no water. You know, and it's supposedly part of why the lines were made in the first place. So think about how much hard work it is to make something like this. That these are animals that they make, and I've been looking more and thinking into the animals. That if you look at the animals that they did make, they made animals that are really, you know, harmless animals necessarily. Especially once you identify the species, hummingbirds, monkeys, you know, especially that type of, like I say, the species. Spider, you know, all spiders ain't harmful. Some people see spiders as a form of good luck. But when you look at all of the NAZCA lines as far as the geoglyphs, these is just the pictures that they're showing you. He's showing you the animals and things like that, and he's going to show you, like I said, the one that sparked everything up, like the title says, the flashback, um, the original discovery with the 45 degrees. But think about how many other ones it is out there that I showed y'all through the other previous video with all of the different 45-degree stars, 8-point stars that they made. And think about how much time that took to create. I just, man, I ain't even sat down and really thought about how long that really would take. But I sit up here now and when I'm working on this project and I get discouraged, man, I start to lose hope. And I'm telling you, man, it's like I really feel a connection with that. I know I figured it out for a reason. It could have been any artist. But at the end of the day, I'm feeling that pain that they felt. And that's why I see this kind of like a ritual too. Not only like a weird type of ritual type of thing, but I'm talking about a ritual in the meaning of I'm putting myself through a not symbolic, but a synonymous type of way of walking through the same type of pain that my ancestors went through. I'm going through having nothing, all in order to get to the point of having something, having it all. I'm going through the point of having nobody understand me or show that they understand me or comprehend me in the brightness that I'm bringing that nobody's ever seen, to the point of possibly being somebody who's known, you know, one of the greatest known people in history. Uh, that's just a lot of work, man. I just try to remind myself, man, don't complain too much, you know, because you know they had it harder than I did necessarily. And I'm just amazed at what they did, you know. And it was like they made images of happiness, not nothing too negative. I did see a couple of negative, like you got one image I saw of a snake biting a human. But I ain't really seen nothing too negative as far as their images either. I pay attention to all of that stuff. What I don't like, to be honest, I'm not too big on Mayan stuff. That's my secret. I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm not too big on Mayan art and stuff like that. I would love Egyptian art because they didn't do a whole. You got a lot of negative, not a lot, but some negative things within there too. But Mayan stuff, when I look at their stuff, I'm just gonna tell you, I don't feel content when I look at their art that they left behind. It's a lot of dragon. You know how you got the different hemispheres of the world, Western and Eastern. The Western and Eastern hemisphere is so different, and even to today. And I sense that even with their art. Egypt is more. They look more. Their art is more calm. I'll tell you, because looking at Mayan art, I mean, it just looked like hell. I ain't gonna lie. It looked most of the art just. I would be scared to be around back then, honestly, in the Mayan times. It just, I mean, all type of craziness, rings through the nose, and just dragons, and it's crazy. Do you think the technology was better than ours? Man, honestly, bro, I don't know really how to honestly answer that. I think that I really wish I could answer it neutrally, but to give a wise answer, I say yeah, because it was more in sync with nature, and they didn't leave so much of a mark. Because I say that us and our technology, once we die, most of the stuff that we would leave a huge mark. It would be hard to erase us, and leave room behind for others. The stuff that we doing as humans these days, it's just you can't really erase a lot of it. But as far as them, and their technology, and I think they were more wise with the technology they did partake into.
I was so many times in NAZCA. I made myself over 5,000 pictures of NAZCA. I show you here now pictures of NAZCA which were never shown on television. And you really are shocked when you...
Right, and see, that's the thing, that's a good insert, but as well back then, what I have known too is that, and what you say is now, wouldn't they have it easier than now? That's a potential thing, like I said, a good insert, a good way to look at it. But back then in their times, I've known certain technologies, just like writing and stuff, it's certain knowledge was prohibited from certain people. So from what I would see, is only certain people would be able to utilize certain technology and do certain stuff with it. So I mean, that's a potential aspect, and that might keep. I don't know, it's a potential. I really don't know. I can't be conclusive on that, as far as whether they had it easier than us. I'm talking about as far as and I know you're talking about like a whole, but what I was really bringing up was the whole desert aspect right here. They're in the desert. Anybody in the desert has it harder than somebody, in a water replenished land. Is really the main thing I'm getting at. Anybody in the desert has it harder, so that's really the main aspect.
When you see these designs and look at them carefully, until today, the scientific community has come up with the following information. All these designs on the ground is an astronomical calendar. It made no sense. Then they say it was a cult for the water gods. Another scientist suggested now it was a cult for the mountain gods. I read always in scientific magazines, now it is a cult for agriculture. My God, this is ridiculous. There was never agriculture. It's too hot for it. If in every time something was growing there, green, then you would not see the designs anymore. Another suggested now it's a prehistoric Inca sport place.
Was it a desert? I think there was an ocean. I think there was an ocean. Definitely, that's what I was thinking about too. For it to be like that, it does look like some type of water was there. That's what I've definitely been thinking about a lot. But was it a desert? Um, I know that that's definitely what it is today. I did see one article that said something about links with it and the flood. So that's another thing, another aspect to think of too, as far as the water. But I don't know if there was an ocean there or not. If if the flood was, true and everything, then that's definitely part in time into it.
Something like a prehistoric Olympia. Others say no, these are copies of Fata Morganas. So the natives somewhere in the air, they have seen some lines, maybe in the clouds. It was a starting place for hot air balloon. We know that hot air balloons could have existed in prehistoric time in South America. It's theoretically possible, but we have no writing, no written record about it. But even for hot air balloons, you don't need landing strips. Hot air balloons just start on one place. Another one said, now, these are acre plots. But acre plots means growing of something. There was never something growing there. Another one said, now these are procession streets, for some religion. It's ridiculous. Streets which started abruptly, ended abruptly, etc. Another one suggested, no, this is a prehistoric map. A map for what? For where? Or a cultural atlas. We have had in the scientific community so many explanations, and every scientist thinks this is plausible. That's the next natural explanation. It's all nonsense. Just look at these gigantic lines. This is eye-openers. And on television, you never see these pictures. I have 5,000 of them. In NAZCA, there you see some mountains which were artificially cut off. You never see these mountains on television. Somebody cut the top of the mountain off. You can clearly prove it in the pictures. Normal mountains around NAZCA, they come to the top from both sides. And you see, it's the top of the mountain. Then you see one mountain where the whole top is cut off. And there is a line on this mountain. And under the line looking like an airstrip, starting abruptly, ending abruptly. Under the line is a zigzag line. No idea, no suggestion what this was.
Man, that's crazy. That's like that's like when you walking outside and you got a type of shoes that got a certain imprint on the bottom, and you step on like a big old heel or something, a dirt heel, and you leave an imprint. It's like some giant had a shoe and they just started stepping on the ground and shit, and it started leaving marks. This shit's crazy, man. How huge and how much time that had to take him. And it ain't for no reason, that's one thing, and then people think everything is, fake and stuff, like what's the point in doing something like that? It ain't making no, I mean, even with tourism, that ain't making a lot of money like that. As much as people would make it out to be, like, come on now, that's a lot of time wasted. You know, I mean, shit, NASA alone killing the bank. Shit, NASA doing their thing, what they do, they ain't really got to fake nothing. Like, what's the reason about who would you make that for? You know, that's why I want guys to realize, when it comes to, questioning everything and all of the fakeness and stuff like that, you got to really be broad on all perspectives, because this right here, man, it ain't no, what's the logical reasoning that somebody could, present to me for faking this right here? What reason and who would you fake it for? Until you even have, we just started flying here recently, as far as within these few hundred years. Now it was a gap, a dark period as we call it, and everything. When I always hear Dred say, and shout out to him, he used to always say, I think I can't remember what specific years, but he say at some certain time, that's when shit just started, it seemed like after a certain period of time, I think he say like 1500s or something like that, 1400s, shit just started getting weird. And that's absolutely true. At the end of the day, shit just started getting weird. It could have been flying stuff around in the 1300s, 1200s, 1100. I don't know, man. We talking about time. We talking about people who ain't got nothing to do but look around at the earth and think of things. And anything could have been possible at that time. This shit is just, it's crazy. All I know is it ain't no reason to fake this, and the shit is amazing. And that's a big ass heel being cut off. So whatever he's saying about this being cut off, I'm wondering what validity, that, like, how the heck did that happen?
Was I simply suggest, or in this case, I speculate, it has something to do with flying. You see, today we need electromagnetic impulses, for example, to start machines. Magnetic. It could be something inside. We have sent a scientific crew to NAZCA, and I have asked the scientists a few questions which archaeologists would never ask. Archaeologists ask for datings, for bones, for fireplaces, and all these things. I ask, for example, please go to the desert of NAZCA with your modern equipment and measure the resistance of electricity. What is the resistance of electricity? If I have a 100 volt, and then I have a measuring device, and I want to see if the electricity is flowing, so I can measure the flow of electricity. And I wanted to know from the scientific world, does the electricity flow in NAZCA? Is it the same flowing as in the desert or on these so-called lines? They made their scientific measurements, and as expected, in the desert, in the sand, there is no flowing electricity, because sand is an isolator, like ceramic is an isolator. But then they made the same experience on the lines with that cut off mountain, where the zigzag lines around them, and the speed of the electrical resistance was 8,000 times higher than just a few meters in the desert. So there is something. I asked the scientists, can you measure magnetic fields in NAZCA? Is there something wrong? Of course, there are changements in the magnetic field, and especially on the lines. On that mountain, they found the magnetic field in the ground under the line, which is so high that they could not measure it anymore. So there is something behind it, but nobody knows what it is, and nobody is allowed to go there or make diggings. So we know that something is wrong in NAZCA, because we can measure the flow of electricity, the difference in the sand, and the difference in the so-called lines. We can definitely measure the changing of the magnetic field. On the zigzag line, there's something deep down there.
So that right there, man, is crazy. When you think about that whole thing being cut off like that, man, I don't know. Look, man, you can you think about how hard? Think about the hardest lightning bolt, the hardest source of lightning that you can remember happening in your life, man. And how loud that shit was, and how much of an impact. How thunder can nearly you can feel it move the house almost a lot of times. You know how strong that would have to be to cut off part of a mountain, because that's the only type of technology. Can't no fire do that. Water doing that. Water erosion would have to do that over time. You know, so and that would take a lot of time to do something like that, and that don't even make sense that it would make something that don't even seem natural to flatten for water to flatten out the top of a mountain like that. It just don't. It ain't even natural. So obviously, that's why I can concur with what the man is saying. It's obviously been cut in some type of way, whether it's over slow time or fast time. But if it was over fast time, what in the heck can do something like? If it ain't giants, then what is it? You said ohms and amps, or amperes. I know what ohms. I've heard of ohm before, but I'm gonna be real. Amperes. I know what amps. It sounds a lot to me like because I know what amps is electricity. Anyway, but sound. I know ohms is ohming. Like sound and stuff. But you say you can't. I can't imagine either myself, man. And I'm just being real. Like when you really start to think about that, because water can't flatten out that hill like that at the top. Uh, as far as how it's shown that it's cut off, you know that shit's crazy, man. Some stuff in the world, I don't know what's going on, man. I'm just trying to figure out.
But in practice, one would say, okay, so make a hole. What's so difficult there? It's not possible. NAZCA is completely protected. You don't receive the permission to simply scratch a little stone away. If you do something, you are immediately arrested. You get in jail in Peru, and you have to pay about $10,000 to get out again. So we know by measurement something is wrong in NAZCA, but in practice, we have no possibility to check it. It might be that in gigantic temple structures, for example, the pyramid, or in big other temple structures, there might be changing of the magnetic field or electricity, but nobody measures it. We have only measured it in NAZCA, and there it's true. We can prove it. I know from my knowledge of ancient texts, of ancient mythologies, that some thousands of years ago, a gigantic...
He just said something important about being able to measure these electromagnetic fields. Like I've been telling people. Now he just said it's confirmed in NAZCA. So that's what I'm telling people. He said 8,000 times at that. That's not just some small number. That's incredibly high. So like I said, with these numbers and everything I'm drawing out, this shit right here is literally mapping out electromagnetism, just like Marco Rodin was saying in the past about his stuff. You know, he just didn't catch on to the whole grid aspect. I think that what Rodin started, because you got the circle and then you got the square, and I think that we're coming with this whole square and circle, because I'm not saying that what his stuff is completely invalid. He just didn't account for frequency and all of the other stuff like I did with the squares and the fractal concept with the circle. But I would rather say that something with his circle and what Rodin did has to relate with up above the circle. You know, the circle up above. When you got the 3, 6, and the 9, I'd rather say that he's discovered more about that. And then the 4 and the 5, which is the linear, which produces and creates the curve, because the curve don't exist without a line, and lines are made from points, straight points from point A to point B. Everything in nature is like that. You know, so think about cells and stuff. You know, when cells are made, they go from 1, which splits out into 2, and 2, you can draw from one cell to the next one. You can draw a line straight from it, and it makes the number 1. That's literally what I was showing people, is the number 1 is 2. Through the numbers and all of that stuff, I was explaining that, you know, the numbers 0 is 1 because your mouth is open. 0, 1, O-N-E, only. You know, with the 1, tower. 2, T-W-O-T-O-W. When you think of a tower, twin towers, with the number 1 being a tower. Literally, if you look at it, it looks like a tower. And if you go to when you go from one place to another place, like a cell, when it's a 0 or 1 cell, that's where 0 and 1, the binary code 0 and 1 is. It's like the yin and yang, one and the same but also different. But when they split and 1 goes to the next, you can you know, that's creating 2. But it's it's so confusing. It's not confusing, but it is confusing. But it takes somebody to have an open mind to comprehend what I'm saying, the facts of what I'm saying. You know, when you go to somewhere, if you was to draw like a tow truck, you know, it has more than 1. It creates a line, tower, tow, T-O-W. You know, it's the essence of creating more, going from one state to the next state, is what I'm getting at. You know, tower, you know, the tow truck, like when you think of the twin tower and the number 1, like 9, 11, 1, 1, you know, it's 2 1s, 2 towers, literally. A tow truck has the same exact function as a tower. You know, a twin tower has a bunch of different, you know, levels of floors and rooms and stuff like that, and it carries a bunch of different people. It stacks them together, and the same thing happens with a tow truck. It stacks stuff together. You know? It's confusing, but I get it. It's something else, man. It's something else. I'm gonna go ahead and let it play, bro.
Mother spaceship was surrounding around the Earth. Now this spaceship, after a long trip, they need something to refuel. I mean, is it organic material? Is it uranium? Is it whatever? So they measure the planet. Where could we find something? Maybe they are looking for gold. And from an orbit, they can measure where we find gold or whatever. Now they simply send an automatic space probe down. An automatic space probe would not need a landing strip. It simply came down like one of our satellites. And before it came to a standstill, it might be that this automatic space probe is blowing away some sand and stones and etc. before it comes to a standstill. One of the natives was watching this. Something was coming from the gods, from the sky. And this space probe makes some measurements. Hello, what is the magnetic field here? Do we find gold, uranium, or whatever? And disappears again. Another native goes to his tribe and say, hey, something was descending from the god. I saw it here on the plain of NAZCA. And you see a small line simply created by the blown away stone, and sand. And now the natives may think, obviously the gods want that we make some lines for them. And it becomes a religion, a cult. And the natives now make lines in all kinds of directions. Small lines, large lines, thin lines, long lines. The longest of the small lines in NAZCA is 23 kilometers long, over cross mountain hill straight away, 23 kilometers.
Bro, do you know how long that is, man? That's a dude. That's a bro. That's around 9 miles. It should be. Let me look up. Let me look that up. 23 kilometers. That's a long ass way, bro. And then you can't measure. It's real hard to measure something like that in a plane. So they had to walk that whole damn thing to measure that. That's crazy. 9 miles. Golly. Woo. Hey, that's 28 times around the track, man. Dang. Golly. Oh, wow. That's 14 miles, bro. It's longer than 9. So it's 14.29 miles, man. Dang, dude. That's decent. Yikes. Yikes. I can't explain. That's a lot of doggone work, man. That's a lot of work, bro.
The longest of the airstrip-looking lines is 3.8 kilometers long. Enough to land the jumbo jet. Now, that was my suggestion. The lines were made by the natives because it has become a religious cult. But that's not all.
Man, golly.
The extraterrestrials, in fact, they found something there, something which they used. We have no idea what it used. And they took it off from NAZCA. It was the extraterrestrials, not the natives, who cut the mountain, because something which they needed was in there. By cutting off the mountain, you have debris. There is nothing in NAZCA. Where is all this debris which they took off from the cutting mountain? And maybe they had an automatic landing machine, and the landing machine was working on a magnetic field. And for the magnetic field, they need that zigzag line under the line, because with the zigzag line, you compose an electromagnetic field. So it comes to a standstill, and you pull it the other way around, and you start it again. The local people made the figures. You see, you have in the ground, you have figures of fishes, spiders, monkeys, birds, and this kind of thing. And these figures were made by the local. You know, NAZCA is very, very hot. The surface of the desert of NAZCA is composed of little brown stones and sand. Now you have only to use your shoes and to scratch away these little brown stones, and you see itself a higher, bright, shining level appears. And with this, you can, in fact, make these figures. There is no mystery in making the figures. You can also make some lines. This is also possible by scratching away with your shoes the surface of it. But the large lines, starting abruptly, ending abruptly, the large big lines on mountains which are cut off are not made by scratching away with your shoes. Here technology was used. So you have to differentiate. There was high technology, in my eyes, from extraterrestrials, which has to do with the cut-off mountains, the zigzag lines and these things. And there is imitations of the natives. Even after the extraterrestrials left, when they have received what they wanted, the natives continue to make lines in honors of the god. So you have both there, high technology from extraterrestrials and simply primitive lines made by the natives. If you stand in NAZCA with your foot, you see nothing. You see no difference. You have to stand exactly on a line. Then you see it goes down into the ground about 4 or 5 centimeters. But you see it only directly standing there. 2 meters away, you see no difference. It's all brown, rust, sand. That's all. The natives want to give signs to the gods. One day, the work of the so-called gods was done. They said,
boy, I gotta go back. Golly, bro. Bro, I don't care what that shit amazing, bro. I want them to know I'm amazed, man. Like, cause I know how it feel, bro, too. Like, if I was like, I would be jumping up and down, going crazy if I saw this in real life, man, because I know how it feel, dude, to wish people saw the amazingness behind your work and how hard you worked on something. Because, dude, that I question whether I would be able to do it, man. Look, bro, because and I know when I'm done with this project, I know some people gonna look at it like, man, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. And that's what I want, you know. It's crazy, dude. Damn.
One day, the work of the so-called gods was done. They said goodbye. We came back in a few thousand years. Goodbye, everyone. They disappeared. But on Earth, the natives had the next generation and the next generation, and they were all talking about the gods. And they said, to our grandfather's time, the gods from the sky were here. Which gods? The natives had the next generation and the next generation, and they were all we came back in a few thousand years.
What do you see right there? I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be real. It looked like an aircraft. I mean, them lines, why would they place them like that? You know, that's what I see. When I look at that right there, I see a little airplane. You know what I mean? You know, I will see the wing right here, the main wing, you know, but not from a direct angle, you know, kind of like tilted, you know, like when they're getting ready to lean towards a certain way. So it's more off leaning towards a certain way, like a perspective type of leaning is what I see. I ain't saying that's what it is, but it darn sure look like it would make sense, you know. Because if you could see a shadow of an airplane, it'll look pretty close like that.
This, goodbye, everyone. They disappeared. But on Earth, the natives had the next generation and the next generation, and they were all talking about the gods. And they said, to our grandfather's time, the gods from the sky were here. Which gods? Up there. Then a high priest may come up with a good idea. We must show them signs, the God. We must signalize them. We are still here. We are praying. We are hoping of your return. And now the natives start to make signs in the ground of such an overdimensional size that you can see them only from the air. And again, NAZCA is not
I ain't doing too much now.
isolated. I know from the Ethiopian book of the king, the Kebra Negest, that King Solomon had a flying machine. In the Kebra Negest, it says that King Solomon had not only flying machines, he had maps from the surface of the earth. He knew exactly on which part is a jungle, on which part is a desert, etc. It might well be that King Solomon, with one of his flying
That's funny. Wait. Geez. That's funny, bro. You know, that's real funny. You said, did they come back? That's what's crazy. Because to be honest, bro, like I'm saying with this discovery whole aspect, ain't nobody, they can't find out what the lines mean. Shout out to Maria Richet, or however her name is pronounced, because she was actually a lady from England who moved, or not England, but Germany, who moved down there to NAZCA. And she's the lady of the lines. That's who they credit to discerning what the lines mean and everything. So, at least to a certain degree. Now, as far as the mathematical concepts and the measurements and stuff like that, like I've been showing y'all as far as the NAZCA geoglyph, I'm showing y'all with the sun star, all of those measurements, the numerical aspects, that's why I've been saying to y'all, you know, the numbers is something that people can't debate over. That's what's going to tell the truth no matter what. Because when they measure out all of the numbers and you do the math with all of them from all systems and everything, they show that it comes out to be the main numbers I've been showing y'all in my work. You know, 45, 18, 36. And this is an article that's been out way before I've even found out what I'm talking about. Thing they just ain't new is this whole 45 degrees, the Chicana, which is an Incan uh, aspect of, you know, their culture and everything. Um, what's her name? Maria Richet, Maria Reiche, and basically I'm working on becoming the man of the lines. Like just like they knew her as the lady of the lines, I'm basically working on becoming the man of the lines. Like she basically did a lot of decrypting and keeping clean of the animals and stuff like that. Those pictures, those are the main ones that she really knew about and talked about. She didn't talk about the powerful lines like the NAZCA Estrellas, the stars and stuff like that, the 45 degree, all of the 8-point stars that's over there in this same area. She never really talked about those, if let alone she didn't know about them. And that's the aspect that I'm covering. So it's kind of crazy how you got like a sun and moon type of thing going on there, a man and female type of thing, light and day, light and dark, inverted. Because I'm a black male with light inside of me. She's a white woman with light inside of her, both in their own way, and but coming together for one cause. She had her truth that she, you know, gave, and now that she's passed away and everything, here I am coming behind it, and I got my own truth to offer to it. And who knows, man? You know, at the end of the day, when I'm looking for somewhere else that I might end up moving, 9 times out of 10, that's a region that I might end up moving to. It's down to South America or something like that. There's so much stuff going on into the world. I'd be lying, stunned if I wasn't even. If a lot of y'all have told y'all I wasn't thinking about eventually moving out of this place, shit, I'd be lying, you know. So at the end of the day, that's likely the road that I'll eventually end up going down is a path much like she went down. making the same type of acquaintances that she made, but just a whole new generation. Because the same people that she worked with, just as much as she passed away, those people passed away with her. I'll be working with the next generation down from them. So those people that she worked with that passed down their positions to their sons and daughters, I'll be working with their sons and daughters, and pretty much stuff like that. So it's it's all bound to be. It's just only a matter of time. It's just crazy seeing uh, how much of this stuff lines up with my work, man. And then the fact that the Freemasons, they always coming their ass up in some, man. It's crazy, but they link to it. There's no lie. They are linked to it, man. And hey, I don't know how or what they got going on, bro, but some stuff, especially that higher up stuff, bro, I don't know, man. I ain't gonna even go there right now. Anyway.
Flying machines once flew to NAZCA. In the Hindu mythology, we have the twins called the Maruts. They are described, they had flying machines. They were flying over the planet, visiting different tribes. So King Solomon, the flying Maruts, the twins, were.
So you see how that airplane is leaning right there? If y'all know how mine is, my stuff is. Look at how this airplane is leaning right here. You see this leaning aspect of the airplane, and then when I go back this amount, not that one specific. I think it was ahead of here. I can't remember where it was at, but I was just showing that, it looked like a plane, but
Well be that kings in the Hindu mythology, we have
the type of perspective I was speaking on. That's all.
The twins called the Maruts. They are described, they had flying machines. They were flying over the planet, visiting different tribes. So King Solomon, the flying Maruts, the twins, were maybe in NAZCA. And they all created line when they came to a landing point. And the natives imitated and made lines. And the natives made sign for that. Hey, we are here. We expect you. We have offerings for you. We have food for you. Please visit us again. Give us your knowledge. That's why the natives made gigantic figures in the ground.
Now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. At the end of the day, when it comes to the aspect of aliens, man, oh man, this is how I'm gonna present it to people. To people who don't necessarily think that there can be a higher form of intelligence, or when I say form of intelligence, I'm talking about body or form that's, or species, living species that's above us that we just ain't came in contact with possibly. Uh, if you can believe, or yeah, I say believe because you have not experienced it and can't. It's not something you can necessarily bring back. But if you can believe in the aspect of a plane being infinite, of the Earth being infinite, and realize as well that if the ground is infinite, the sky by default has to be infinite as well. You can't have an infinite ground without an infinite sky. So either way it go, what you see up there still will have to be infinite, even if the plane is infinite. But if that can be infinite, why wouldn't the essence of life be infinite? You got microcosm, macrocosm, and everything, but who's to say that we are the macro of life? As for or consciousness, I don't think that we are, to be honest, because we can't. Here we, if we are, why are we even questioning what's going on? Y'all really think that it ain't something that I already know what's going on? It's kind of dictating a lot of what's going on. I think that it really takes somebody to really be real with themselves and think outside of the box and see that we might not be the highest form of what's going on here, man. And I'm just being real. Um, I'm not talking about green men or nothing like that, you know, like the typical people talk about. I'm speaking on just the fact of if people sit up here talking about cloning humans, what make you think it? Think about it. If you're talking about cloning humans, what make you think if I with a basic mindset, just saying something right now, and this is just off of the dome, do you not realize that if you can take the gene of a chameleon, this is just me saying as a mad scientist, that you can make anything happen. It, take the genes of a chameleon or something like that that can blend into nature and camouflage into something, uh, make yourself invisible. What if you have an invisible human? You know, not only invisible or clone, essences of that's what I'm saying, bro. It's if we just ain't it. It doesn't stop with us because I've seen spirits outside. Spirituality alone. It's spirit outside of just this body alone, man. Now, as far as and that's intelligence beyond us. We still ain't comprehending that. You know, a lot of people think that, man. It's just. I think that people really ought to be more open to it. As above, so below. That's right. In sacred geometry, macro is micro. That's right. Real talk. Cloaked human. Yep. Yeah, real talk. That's on point, man. Legit.
In NAZCA, there is a geometrical figure which is never shown to the tourists. I made a few hundred photos of it. It's gigantic. It's different circles, a big circle, two smaller circles, and around them are triangles and so. And this is geometry, is high geometry. It does not fit to the natives. We don't know what the meaning is of it. The tourists are not overflown there. By the way, the tourists today in NAZCA, this is another thing which I hate. The pilots, they fly the tourists over these signs, the fishes, monkeys, birds, etc., but not over the lines and not over the geometrical pattern. And just a few years ago in England, the same design, which I call looks like a mandala, the same design appeared, but this time in England. Now, between England and NAZCA, there are 20,000 miles. In the last few years, in the desert of Jordan, again, gigantic figures were found, only found by the air. It's comparable to NAZCA.
See, a couple of months ago, I remember talking about this right here. Mandela shows same lines. But yeah, I've seen the mandala, different ones of them. Yeah, they got it shows similar. It's I can't remember what the name of that cross is, but I remember a couple of months ago when this thing right here, I didn't realize this. It was somebody who came up behind me when I was making a video about the NAZCA lines then. They came behind me and they notified me on how phenomenal my work was, and they said that I should look into this right here, the Jordan, this stuff going on here. I jumped on it because I already knew that as far as Jordan, that name, I was like, bingo, that gotta mean something. I didn't know what I hadn't seen the imagery of what he was talking about yet, but I knew that Jordan had some significance because in Petra, which is in Jordan, or locale very close to it, at the end of the day, the design that I've drawn out with the crow steps is all throughout Jordan. And when you talk about where this design can be found at uh, in history and stuff like that, it's only found in a few places. And where it is, it's super ancient. You're not going to find nothing like it. I'm talking about super ancient. I'm talking about India with the step wells. Um, like I'm saying with Petra, not them, the Inca. Obviously, their whole culture. I mean, they ain't even got to go. But that's just, if anything, I'm realizing that's where the origin with the whole, the 45-degree steps and cosmology and everything. We know the Mayan had their aspects of it too. Uh, but from what I see with the Mayan, they usually, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. That's one thing I can't conclude on yet. Because back in the past, for them to have pyramids, that they built, they obviously had the step knowledge, and the number 9 knowledge was already there. So I'm right now, I'm really just trying to find out in between the NAZCA and the Mayans. It's real NAZCA, Mayan, and Incans. It's I already know, that there were different time periods, especially Inca was way later. But man, it's just crazy. Anyway, I remember watching this video, and at that time, I was so caught up in the fact of my new discovery with the 45 degrees that I looked over and omitted that this was right after what I had shown in the first place. So apparently, what that man was notifying me about as far as Jordan was right here within this video in the first place, and I just looked over it on accident because I was trying to put out the information about 45 degrees. Because if I take this back right here, uh, everything that you see right here, when I first watched this video, which is what this whole title of this video is really, um, when I first watched this video and I seen these lines right here, I saw the center of my work, and this is the first thing that sparked it out. But before I said that, I said, everything is at 45 degrees. As soon as I said it's everything, I said every last single triangle that you could look at here it's at 45 degrees, literally. And when I say that everything is at 45 degrees, that's including of the 90-degree angle. Because when you cut 9 in half, it equals 4.5. So that's why I say everything is at 45 degrees, because it's literally tilted to the aspect of 45 degrees, a diamond square. A diamond, turned 45 degrees. That's all that you see here. So if I count all of the 45-degree angles, ain't no telling how many it is. I could do it now, but it'd take too long. What's the quick way? 45. If you got 145 right here, one right here, and there's 4, so that'd be 45, 45. So that'd be 8 of them. 45 times 8. That's 360. Forty-five, 45, 45, 45, 45. That's funny. Because I hold on, because now that I don't know whether I will count that or not, because I know on my stuff I cut this in half, and that'll make another 45 right here. I ain't gonna do that. It'll be time consuming. Anyway, man, I just was looking at that and focusing on the fact that this right here in the center is exactly like these lines is going to the 8 and 1 on my stuff. And when I did the metrics and showed, like I'm gonna pull out and show as well right here. I'm gonna go to this. I'm pulling this up right now, and I'll share the screen real quick. I see the Mayan calendar on that image. Right, exactly. There you go. Look, you seeing it right? Because they got the same link as far as the geometry. Most definitely, at least. Trying to go to the numbers. Okay, there it is, right there. All right, just share screen. This is what I'm saying now. See, this is mathematical precision. Let's act like I was in the court of law and I would have to show this. This is conclusion. You know, what facts does PR Corey had to show behind his stuff? I got various, every single, website that is technically like a witness in my case. But the prominent number sets, it says in the website right here, as you can see, I think that you can see blogworldmysteries.com. And as you can see, it has the NAZCA line. I'm going up through it fast. This is the same article I've been showing y'all for the past couple of weeks about Jesus, the coming of Jesus, second coming in 45 apparently having to do with that. But this is literally on the exact NAZCA lines that I'm showing you that's on the screen, that was on the screen just then. This geoblip, because like he said, this is the most important out of all. This is the most important one. What I'm gonna say is, he just said, and himself, that they'll fly over all of them animals and everything else, but when it comes down to these geometric ones, those are the ones that they try to not fly over and stuff like that. And the one that they do fly over is this one that they're showing you right here. That it's called the tourist Estrella. That's what they called it in the other video that I showed y'all with all of the 45 degrees. I can go back to that video before we leave out of here to briefly show y'all that one, because I know that I like everything to be shown in one. But they broke down everything so that you can see it in clarity right here. So you know that we're talking about exactly what I'm talking about. And this is all, they got pages of research and everything is on point. They broke everything down. These people know what they're talking about. And you can thoroughly go through and read this. They brought up 45 degrees, half squares, 72. It's non-debatable. And when I say non-debatable, I'm talking about the fact that the numbers, what can you do say that the number might not be the right number? Come on now. That's why I say that, it's non-debatable, because you can't change the number. You can't change the measurements, man. That's all I'm saying. A square is always going to be a square. 4 corners, 4 equilateral sides. That's just the facts, man. And that's why I act like I act and say what I say. Conclusion, that's the wrong conclusion, or not the final conclusion at least. This is it down here. This is what I was saying. The prominent number sets. The fourth largest square visible upon the earth displays 8. Like I was telling y'all, 360 divided by 8 equals 45. But right here it says the prominent number sets are 9, 12. Okay, 12 is the one that I told y'all within my previous 2 videos. I said that 12 on my work, what I'm showing y'all is the essence of time. Okay, 12 on my stuff would be where 0 and 9 meet up. That's what 12 o'clock is. So what you're looking at in my stuff is just like a clock. A clock is very simple, but if you look at when we look at a clock, I know that when y'all look at my work, y'all probably say, man, just think about when you look at a clock. Us every day, we look at our clocks, at our watches, we see the faces of the clock and faces of the watch, but we don't really look at or think about how much work really is going on behind the darn clock or the watch. When you take that face of that watch off, it's a lot of gears and stuff going on back there. And that's what I'm showing y'all behind the work of 45 degrees, the numbers and everything, is that it's a big underlying network going on that people ain't aware of. And that, we operate on the number, on the essence of 12 as far as our time, but I'm showing that 9 is a possible essence too. And I'm only the spark of it. It's going to be people after I'm going to figure out, or maybe while I'm even here, figure out some things about what I'm trying to say as far as this number 9 and the new essence of time, and what I'm showing, later on down the road, or new way to view time. But anyway, because if you can go off of 12 hours in a day, you can go off of 9. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, that's just a fact. But 9, 12, 18, 1 and 8 are across from each other on my work. 2 and 7 are across from each other on my work, 27. 45, there's the magic number right there. 54, 72, 216. All of those big numbers like that right there, 216 will come down to be what? It would be 36. The two and the first two digits would combine. I'm not just making that up. Because see, up here earlier they said as well on the another, because this whole thing has different sections of conclusions. If you realize, and I know I'm not missing it by that or off by saying that 216 would be 36, because if you look right here in this lineup, I didn't even realize they're missing the number 36. Instead of 36, they actually have 12. You know, they went from 27 straight to 45 and skipped 36. Okay, so like I said, 36 would be in there, and that we know that 3 and 6 is. I mean, them saying 216 right here is, you know, important is highly, you know, of course something. But what I'm saying is, any people already know about the 3, 6, and 9, so I know I'm factual with that anyway. And you know, you know, so it's just yeah. Let me see, because they got so many different conclusions. But I just wanted to show too as well what they was talking about. See, 54, 50/40, I went over that in the past, but apparently it's the perfect societal harmony, son of righteousness. Like I was saying, 45 is the second coming of the Messiah. These ain't just a bunch of numbers. If you look at what this is, y'all, what is these numbers? I know somebody from the outside would just say, well, what is these numbers? They're just being thrown around. Anybody can just add numbers up to a small. No, what I'm getting y'all to look at is look at the fact that what they are doing is taking, you see this color right here? Everything is color coded. So what they are doing is these people actually have went to the lines and got to measure these lines themselves. The only thing that somebody can have over me is the fact that, bro, you didn't go there and do the measurements yourself. I could go there, but what I can do is go on these websites and look at, you know, the fact that different people are coming out with the same measurements and go best out until I actually can do that myself. I ain't saying once I provide what I'm providing, bro, I can do all of that. I can guarantee it. And one day I do plan on being able to do these measurements myself, so that, you know, those in the future can't even say, you know, hey, the measurements ain't, because that's literally the only thing one will say. But would you think that they just putting it? They ain't talked to me is all I can tell you. I can't steer the narrative in this in any type of way. I can prove I have no steering of any narrative in this. Somebody created this information, not created the information, but found out this information before me as far as these measurements on the actual NAZCA lines, and presented it before I came with my work. So this is before I was even thought of in the picture. So at the end of the day, for these numbers to come out to be the same numbers that I'm expressing, and what they did is literally measure these parts of doggone square, bro, and it comes out, and when you break it down to the, like you're saying, micro and macro, they're breaking it down to the littlest inch, and it's coming out to be these numbers, dude. Don't you know how many infinite numbers it is in the world? You got very many infinite numbers in the world, man. It could be any number. But that's just crazy. 45 second coming of the Messiah. That's wild. Messiah equals, like y'all been saying, y'all have always told me that Messiah means messenger on different panels and stuff like that. And once they told me, like I be telling her, you know, people get up there and tell they have for what they hear, you know, till they full. I mean, you know, Messiah meaning messenger. So that's what I'm saying. 45, son of righteousness. Son, y'all say the son. Y'all say the son means that I've already showed y'all with everything about the magic squares and the stars, and how this whole thing has to do with the, even other sites have linked this. If what I was saying about my work in the magic square of Saturn and Jupiter and all of that stuff didn't make sense, then guess what? It wouldn't be other sites talking about the magic square as far as this geography. It just wouldn't happen. It's not by chance. You know, that's not by chance, man. That's literally on point. And I'm just blown away because I'm like, dude, how did I figure this shit out? Man, this is like what I'm doing over here. What I'm gonna say to y'all is that what I'm doing over here is what's gonna take flat Earth to the next level. Like where all that shit y'all been hearing about flat Earth and stuff like that, as far as not being able to prove it and stuff like that. If they ever let this get out the bag and grow and expand super big, I'm telling you right now, it's gonna take flat Earth to the next level and it's gonna start back being questioned again. I'm telling you right now, as a fact. I ain't just saying that shit, bro. Because oh man, I'm telling you right now, magnetism, all of that, it's gonna be started, right? It's gonna be reignited. It's gonna be fucking ignited. I'm telling you. It's That's just crazy. I'm telling you, I can sense that, man. Because I'm telling people right now, this all got to do with that. The people who was doing this, see, they'll sit up here and use this work and stuff like that, but they won't take into part that the people who was doing this, yes, at that time they were saying the earth was flat, period. But they'll sit up here and be amazed by their work though. So I'm just saying, man, that's crazy. Let me go back to the actual video, but matter of fact, before I go to the video, like I'm gonna show the conclusive numbers again one more time. I mean, you can see them coming through here. 18. I mean, they switch around back and forth because they oscillate. Like I've been telling y'all, the number 9, 18, which in turn its oscillation would be 81. 63 would be 36. 54, of course, 45. Because when you take that number 9 and do that, it's like DNA, it twists infinitely. 18 and 27, that's where the square is made on my work in between 18 and 27. Both of those combined equal 45. So this all has to do with geometry, measurement of geometry. The word breaks down to earth measurements. Geometry, Freemasons, we gotta think about all of that geometry, geo and stuff like that's what that all measurement. Measure, all of that stuff comes, 27, 54. It's going to be the same consistent numbers. And this is all based like this, one flat surface layer of small cubes, parameter. And I mean, they going down to the smallest little bit too. The point, they going down to the smallest intricate. They ain't playing either. They counted for everything. And 144, that's why I've been trying to tell y'all 144 in that term, what would it be? It would be 54, like I'm telling y'all, which is the inversion of 45. That's why I've been telling y'all 144,000. It in its way has to do with 45 too. All of that stuff gonna come back to it at the end of the day. 36, 9, 18, 27, 50, it's crazy. This ain't by chance, man. And that's why I say that most stuff can't be debated, fam. I don't know none of this stuff. I ain't read this thing. I ain't studied it. Like, so how should a nigga like me know this? It's gotta be the DNA, and not just the DNA, just like God, bro. It's on point. I'm gonna have to go through here and just read it, like for real, one day. I'll do that. It deserves that much respect, real talk. But I'm just showing the facts it is. Nikki C, shout out to you, man. Let me see. Here we go with the star. This thing is a trip, man. All right. All right. Man, let me just share something else I wanted to share before. Man, don't nothing piss me off more than a slow computer. I am not lying, man. I'm gonna go to my drive though. I ain't got it pulled up yet. I usually have it open, but I like remember them numbers because I just want to just show it because might not even need to worry about pulling this up. I'm really just amazed on how them. And then what Sanchez had said a few days ago on his panel when he said that the core, not the core, but the ain't what dude said the inside of the earth, what not the inside of the earth, but what was dude saying like the north, yeah, the North Pole, I think is what he said word for word. Got 4 sections or 4 points, something like that. And I can't word for word say it, and usually I'd be able to, but I was like, this nigga on point. Cause shit, that's exactly what I've been saying and showing with my work, man. Golly, bro, let's hide it. There we go. Super zoom. That's what I've been saying. Now, with every single number, if you look at the color coding, it's not add 8, 8 plus 1, 1. You don't do that. And you don't do 9, 9 plus 0. That's not what's going on there. That's why when y'all look at my other stuff, when I drew out the chakra diagram, that's why I left the inside. I drew a 45-degree angle to make like an overlapping square. It was a square right here in the center. Like when you took, I wish I could turn this and tilt this and stuff, but I drew a square around what you see right here, where you see my mouse at right here. You see 0 right here, and then it goes to 1. This is the clock. So right here at this point that you see right here at this center is where 12 would be at. Like y'all just saw, I just went over the whole 12 is 9 aspect of it, okay? So when you see this point right here, that's where 12 o'clock is at on the clock. This is the essence of time. Every single square that y'all see within my work, like I have said, is the same thing that you see here. And it's making up one huge same of the square. It will never end. It's infinite. So these are all like clock gears. This center point I showed y'all also is the swivel point, which just like you see polarities. So all of these different things are moving like clock gears, and in the previous video I showed as well where a man was, I can't remember that guy's name, but he was doing some hardcore science, with electromagnetism and stuff like that, moving different things, and that's basically what those levers were doing that he was using. But if you pay attention to the chronological order, shout out to Sanchez with Chronos in the Saturn aspect, he said that in the past. Chronos, chronological order. This was cube of Saturn. This stuff is all seen here. It's not being justified, y'all. What I'm saying and what I'm showing is that, dude, I'm all going off of 100% facts. And what is a fact is what is a fact. And I'm not going to try to change what's a fact, no matter how scary it might seem. If I'm doing work right now and I find out the truth is that we in hell, if my work leads me to find out that the truth is that we are living in hell right now, then I'm going to rock with that and know that that's the truth and let people know that, bro, look, I done found out that this place is in hell. That's what, if I find out 45 means that we in hell, I will let people know that truth if I feel like they would do the correct thing with it. It had to be a trustworthy person, because some people, they hear the truth on something that'll make them act a certain type of way they shouldn't. But it's just crazy when you look at the aspect of these numbers. Up here it say 45, 36, but either way it go, the same numbers is there. 54, y'all just saw those numbers. 63, 72, 27. No matter which way you flip it or turn it, the truth is going to be the truth. And that's what this whole art is teaching you. That's what it's showing you. No matter what, that's one thing about the truth. And you can't find. I mean, that's the one thing y'all can get on here and debate whether the Earth is flat or a globe or not. Some people show their little fake pictures or show whatever it is, whatever you know. But this right here is a truth that you just can't get around, y'all. And I wish the people could comprehend that. Because the truth, like I just said, no matter what, the thing about it, how you know whether something is the truth is no matter which way you turn it, upside down, right side up, left or right, it's still gonna be the truth. And that's what my work is. That's just straight up. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the video because it ain't a lot left in the video, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to it and let that play. Not invite. New comments. I don't know why this thing does it. It say new comments name. Nobody said that. In the tree. There we go. Now y'all see as well too, like I was saying, if you pay attention, you see these dots right here, the dot right here and the dot right here. The dot right here coming from the center right here into the center of the square from the side. What number does it land on my work? The 1 and the 8. That's what I'm telling you. And notice how it goes to the dot. Like it doesn't go to the center of the square, but that's how I'm telling you it's communicating something. Why would they draw a line from, to this dot? They didn't draw it to the center of the square right here in the center. They didn't draw it over to the center of the edge over here. They drew this to this dot. So that means that whatever these dots is, they're communicating something that's concrete as far as a symbol of some sort. So that's what I'm saying. I know that I got it. I know that I got it, bro. I know that I do. It's almost like when you done won the lottery, and you kind of looking at things. You trying to you asking people, hey, bro, do this ticket say what I think it say, bro? You gotta ask somebody trustworthy, but you gotta ask, hey, bro, am I tripping to do this ticket say what I think it say? And you getting your confirmation from folks, and they letting you know, like, hey, bro, yeah. That's what this shit is like. This is literally like the way that this makes me feel is like a intellectual lottery. Like I've hit the intellect, like a knowledge lottery. I didn't hit a lottery of knowledge, bro. Like, cause out of all of the time on earth, bro, who the fuck has done this? Nobody. That's crazy, dude. And I ain't saying that I'm at a 4.5 billion years. They say this earth been around. They claim it's 4.5 billion years old. 4.5. I say that because it's that's a huge milestone, man. That's a long time. And I ain't saying that that's the conclusive real time, but I'm saying, why would they say 4.5? It could have been 3.5, 2.5, 1.5, 1, billion years, but out of all time, it's 4.5. And that's what I'm trying to get people to see. No matter where you go in time, you could go ahead 1 million years from now, and you ask people how old is the earth? Guess what the answer would be? It would be the earth is 4.5 billion years old. That's even a million years from now. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we stuck in the middle. I said in the middle. We're stuck in the middle. That's what I'm trying to get people to realize, bro. That's crazy. Shit.
In the last few years, in the desert of Jordan, again, gigantic figures were found, only found by the air. It's comparable to NAZCA with hundreds of designs, rings, circles, triangles, etc. And this mystery goes on worldwide. Always, some of the prehistoric people made designs for the gods because you can see them only from there. In antiquity, the gods were here. The humans worshipped the gods. The humans said to the gods, we want to make a construction, a temple, something in your honor, so that our ancestors later, thousands of years ago, may understand that you were here. And the gods said, yes, make it, but make it only on this place and in this place. So the humans made these structures. Today is different. Today we have no high culture. There are no humans which adore some gods and say, in your honor, we want to make a gigantic structure. The time is different. In Africa, there is a tribe called the Dogon. And the Dogon, they say they were visited by beings from the star solar system of Sirius. The humans asked the God, where do you come from? And they gave names, but the names mean nothing to us. The names are the names of them. To us, it's a word which has.
And see, that's the thing about the Dogon too. I'm sorry I had left and went to go pee. Give me a drink of water, man. At the end of the day, when I kept the thing paused, with the Dogon, one thing I realized about their symbolism with that, hands up and legs down type of thing they got on top of their head. It looks it's been shown that it looks like a brick wall pattern, a piece of a brick wall. Well, when you look at a brick wall, and you separate that pattern, what that is creating a 45-degree design. When you take a brick, a rectangle brick, and separate them up and put them at the half point like that to make a brick pattern, that makes a 45-degree. When you take the corners and draw it from line to line, it makes a 45-degree pattern. When you think about bricks and masons, it's crazy how everything goes back down to masons and stuff. And I think it's because they really taken the core knowledge, core basic, knowledge, that the truth and everything, and basically they branded themselves branded the truth with them. They incorporated themselves into the basic truth that to a way that I discern it as. When people go down this road like I am of realizing the truth and stuff, they put themselves in the position of where it's almost like they can have stamped themselves as the ones responsible for it. They put themselves in an authoritative God-like position of the truth and everything, to where it's like they got their hands in no matter what. And that's why I'm standing on my end, because they left the hole. They left the freaking hole. They didn't get everything. It's one last thing for this world end. I think that God wanted everybody to figure out. And I'm bringing that. That's crazy. I'm gonna let this play up because it ain't got long, and I can go ahead and end this video.
Has no meaning on the firmament. So we don't know where they came from, and we don't know where they went. Definitely they went back, and they promised to return. They are back again. Some thousands of years ago, extraterrestrials created the first humans, symbolically Adam and Eve. They again made children, and their children made again children. They multiply and multiply. And in these generations, there was only one language. Adam and Eve, they came directly from the tribe of the apes. The apes had no language. Now, Adam and Eve, in the legend, were put into a place called paradise, where they learned the language. Adam was the first man who was able to speak. He had what we call broadcast center to formulate words. Now, Adam was the one who gave to everything a name. Adam was the inventor that this is called a bush, this is called a river, this is called grass. Grass is not the same thing as water. Water is not the same thing as the sky. When you want to talk together, you have to have definition, the meaning of the object. That's why Adam started the old language. I suggest the first language which the humans had was the language of the extraterrestrials. This you can still read in the Bible. Before the Tower of Babel, it says, and everyone had the same language at that time. Later, the human society separated. They started to travel, and they started to develop their own languages. The first language of the humans was the language of the extraterrestrials. Adam learned it from the extraterrestrials, and Adam gave everything the name. Later, they separated, and they developed other languages. If they use technology, the gods, they would give a gigantic sign in the sky. They would show something big that everyone
That
can
means-
see us. For example, they could show with a laser a sign on the moon. We have full moon and we have empty moon. Now there's nothing and an empty moon, and all of a sudden you see a gigantic inscription on the moon. This would be technology. But on the other hand, I'm sure the information is within us, is in our genes, and we continue to give this information to the next generation, and our genetics will find
What did
out
you say?
that we are not only human,
Because I think I missed that.
but genes. Gigantic inscription on the moon. We have empty moon. Now there's nothing and an empty moon, and all of a sudden you see a gigantic inscription on the moon. On the moon, see us. For example, they could show with a laser a sign on the moon. We have full moon and we have empty moon. Now there's nothing and an empty moon, and all of a sudden you see a gigantic inscription on the moon. This would be technology. But on the other hand, I'm sure the information is within us, is in our genes.
That's amazing because I was sure saying my DNA and everything, man. That's where this stuff got to be coming from. At the end of the day, 45 and gematria come out to be in DNA and gematria comes out to be 45. But what he said was, because I was thinking when I've been looking at these lines too, it looks like a laser could have did that shit too. You know, flying is one thing, but it looks like a laser type of technology could have beamed the mess out of the ground and created those drawings. That's a lot of them. You know, I ain't saying that I ain't concluding on that, but when you think about the fact that he just said about the high electromagnetic field readings that they did there, that kind of goes in sync with the lasers. To be honest, I mean, I ain't saying that that's what it is, but it sure make a lot of sense because a laser would do something like that. A hop, and as well, why would you use a laser? It ain't too wise to use a laser in a livable environment, if you get what I mean. You know, so stuff like that you don't want to use it where a bunch of people is living it. I'm just saying that, and that would be crazy.
And we continue to give this information to the next generation, and our genetics will find out that we are not only humans. We have been influenced by an artificial mutation by extraterrestrials, so we will find the answers anyhow. It makes no sense to be against all this hypothesis of an extraterrestrial visit in the past, because everything points to it, and the final answer is in us, and our genetics will find it.
Are you awake yet? Explore life's greatest mysteries, expand your consciousness, and empower your mind, body, and spirit on Gaia.com. Click the link in the description below and start your journey today on Gaia. Stay curious.
All right. Well, that's the end of the presentation, my friend. Whoever you shall be, I ain't gonna take no wise guesses. Okay, I know who it is now since I see down here, Mr. Meese. That's what I'm gonna call you. It's Meese. Connecting it to the NAZCA lines, absolutely. With your if you've seen FPV channel, shows they same concept for flat Earth, right? Yeah, definitely. They've been talking about the flat, but that's the thing, you know. I don't know if you black or white or not, but not on no racism type of stuff. But I just noticed that myself. You know, it's just like, I don't know if they'll support a nigga on their end on that side, but I've been over there and dropped a few comments, and they've been, you know, kind of welcoming and everything to a degree. But I know that what I'm providing and the angle that I'm coming from is from a completely different version than them. we're coming to the same conclusion as far as the geography of the earth being flat and the newness that's brought with the information behind it. But as far as, you know, what they're saying it is and what I'm saying it is two completely different things. Because see, that what they're saying, I'm more on the side of in the process of figuring it out, and not just concluding on something, because they're concluding on the fact that this whole NAZCA, when they look at that NAZCA geoglyph that we've just been seeing right there with the, you know, the Australia and everything, they're only working on that one and talking about that one. That's just one. But like I said, I showed their video and they had all kinds of 8-point stars, you know, through the, you know, so many different 8-point stars. All of them was 8 points. And that means something, you know, and perfectly divided up into 45 degrees. That's why I say 8.360 divided by 8 equals 45. So the Nazcans knew what they were doing by creating it like that. And Marley, that's my dog. But yeah, you know, so I mean, at the end of the day, and that's why I kind of try to stay a little away from over there too much, you know, because I don't want to cause conflict and I don't want to make it seem like I don't like their work or nothing like that. Because I actually like how hard they work and the fact that they work together as a team. They work together as a team and, you know, come to a conclusion together and share their work to, you know, come to the same conclusion. Um, but I'm not just taking it and just overlaying a picture of the earth, you know. That's what they basically doing, or, you know, until we got the whole math worked out as far as, you know, how the earth is, the true map of the earth, you can't overlay it on it except for the North Pole aspect, because no matter what, all we know is that the pole that's at the center, when you get on top of a pole, is going to be 360 degrees around it. That's why that North Pole map is very important. Whenever you get on top of a pole, it's always going to be 360 degrees. A dot is always going to be 360 degrees around it. That's a rule of nature. So, you know, when it comes down to the maps and stuff like that, I ain't really the type of person to just conclude on one map. I'm a very open-minded person. That's why you'll see me using and going. I'm sharing my process and my progress. I'm letting people see, you know, what I'm deducting and what I'm progressing towards. You know, so you can see work being done. You can see a house being built instead of just walking into a mansion. You know, I feel like it's cool to see a house be built. Uh, so I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I don't discredit FPV now, but I feel like their whole I feel like what they got to say about the free energy, it would help a lot with that aspect of flat earth, you know. I just feel like, you know, they reaching on a lot of stuff, honestly. Just being honest. I'm just being honest, you know. I'm just being honest. But I get where they coming from, and I do love their work, honestly. So, but yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and end this one. You know, I'll see y'all next time. What that want to be about, it'll probably be, you know, what comes up next, or, you know, it'll be whatever. Ain't no telling. But the information is astounding, man. You know, I enjoyed rewatching this video and going back on it with y'all. Like I said about the Jordan, the lesson I learned from this is to not get myself too. I'm doing good by staying focused on the 45, because a lot of people can lose focus. Some people can't keep focus on one thing. But I didn't zoom out enough to where I could see the Jordan aspect that was already there. You know, somebody else had notified me about that all the while. You know, if I'd have just watched the video 20 seconds later, they brought up exactly what that person was talking about. So, you know, I'd already been on it technically, but I that just let me know how much I stopped everything right then and got right into my work once, because it doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's just I got highly consumed in my work, man. And shit, Now I know, just to, like I say, I look back on all of my stuff and trying to make sure that I do better than I was. Yesterday move that I get off track, and every new day I don't do better every day than yesterday. I don't, but the goal is to at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Hopefully, I ain't gonna say hopefully, but it is what it is, bro. But yeah, y'all stay safe, bro. Peace out.